This is unbelievable. Let me tell you what Stephen A. Smith said on First Take, because he didn't hold back. For weeks now, the New York Knicks have been waiting on free agent Ben Simmons, waiting for him to finally make a decision on which team he wants to join. And Stephen A. said it plain and simple. The Knicks expected an answer, but they never expected that the answer would be no team at all. According to him, and according to the latest reports, Ben Simmons might actually be done with the NBA. Done. Finished. Think about that for a second. The Knicks were looking at Simmons as one of their primary free agency targets. Stephen A. even said it himself. He doesn't necessarily like the idea, but the truth is obvious. The Knicks needed to see what Simmons was going to do. Even if Simmons chose another team, at least that would give New York a chance to pivot, to move in a different direction. But Stephen A. pointed out that the shocking twist here is that Simmons isn't even sure if he wants to play basketball anymore. Now, Stephen A. brought up reporting from Knicks insider Steph Bondi, and Bondi made it clear, yes, Simmons has interest from the Knicks and from another team, but the bigger story is that he's questioning whether he wants to continue his NBA career at all. And let me echo what Stephen A. hammered home. If you are a player with the kind of skill set Simmons has, with the size, the passing, the defense, and you're still asking yourself if you even want to play, that says everything. That right there tells you his heart isn't in it anymore. And Stephen A. was crystal clear. If your heart isn't in it, New York is not the place for you. Madison Square Garden isn't built for players who are unsure about themselves. That's not the city, that's not the market, and that's not what the Knicks need. He said it straight up. Simmons is not built for New York. And honestly, when you hear this report, how can you argue with that? But that's only part one, because as Stephen A. reminded everyone, it's not just about the passion, it's also about the money. Simmons doesn't want the veteran minimum, he wants more. And guess what? Another name in this conversation, Russell Westbrook, is in the same exact situation. Stephen A. reacted to the new reports about Westbrook's future. According to NBA Central, teams overseas like the Zhejiang Flying Tigers are actually in the running to sign Russ. Think about that. An MVP, a former face of the league, a future Hall of Famer, and yet his NBA options are shrinking because he doesn't want to accept the vet minimum. The odds right now have Sacramento at the top, Dallas in the mix, Golden State on the list, and then, yes, the Flying Tigers overseas. And do you know who's not on the list at all? The Knicks. Stephen A. explained why. Because just like Simmons, Westbrook doesn't want to take a discount. He wants more than the minimum. And according to insiders like Sam Moe, both Simmons and Westbrook could remain unsigned before training camp starts because of it. Now let me tell you, Stephen A. couldn't believe this about Russ. He said, it's shocking. A former MVP, still unsigned at this stage, all because of money? It's crazy. But then he circled back to Simmons, and here's the difference. With Westbrook, it's about the paycheck. With Simmons, it's not just the money, it's the mentality. This man is openly questioning if he even wants to be in the NBA. So Stephen A. asked the obvious question, and he asked it with passion. Who in their right mind would want to invest in a player like this right now? Who wants to put their trust, their money, their locker room, their fan base in the hands of someone who doesn't even know if he wants to lace up his sneakers and compete? That's not commitment. That's not hunger. That's not New York basketball. Stephen A. raised his voice and made it crystal clear. This is not what the Knicks need. This is not what this city deserved. And that's why he repeated it again, louder, firmer, with all the energy he's known for. Ben Simmons is not built for New York. He's not. Period. End of discussion. If he wanted this challenge, if he wanted the bright light, if he wanted to wear that Knicks jersey, if he wanted to show the world that he could handle the Garden, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Think about it. The fact that we're even here, debating whether Ben Simmons wants to play, tells you everything you need to know. Stephen A. said it himself. New York doesn't wait for players to decide if they love the game. New York doesn't beg anyone to embrace the pressure. You either want it or you don't. And Simmons has shown us time and time again that he doesn't. And that's the bottom line. According to Stephen A. Smith, the Knicks have to wake up, smell the coffee, and face the truth. Waiting on Simmons? That's not just a mistake. It's a complete waste of time. Every single day you wait on him, you lose an opportunity to bring in someone who actually wants to be here. Someone who actually embraces the smoke, embraces the challenge, embraces the pressure of Madison Square Garden. This is just unbelievable. Stephen A. Smith said it on First Take, and he could not have been more clear. If Ben Simmons truly wanted to be in New York, if he really wanted to prove himself on the biggest stage in basketball, he would have done it already. He had the chances. He had the time. The door was open for him. But instead, as Stephen A. pointed out, it looks like he would rather walk away from the entire league than step into the fire and join the New York Knicks. And let me tell you something, that says it all. And I've got to be honest, Stephen A. was absolutely right. Who wants a player like that? Who wants somebody you have to beg, plead with, convince, just to put on a Knicks jersey? Not me. Stephen A. said it himself. New York doesn't need that. Madison Square Garden doesn't need that. Championship teams don't need that. And frankly, the Knicks don't need that either. Now, here's where Stephen A. took it further. He said this decision leaves New York staring at the board with two realistic names left in free agency: Landry Shamet and Malcolm Brogdon. Those are the guys. And in Stephen A.'s words, if you're the Knicks, the obvious choice is Malcolm Brogdon because he gives you stability, ball handling, leadership, and playoff experience. But if you want shooting, defense, and chemistry, then Shamet makes sense too. The point is, either one of them makes more sense than waiting on Simmons. And remember, training camp is right around the corner. We're talking this month. The Knicks can't sit around forever. Stephen A. hammered that home. They've got to act now, fill that roster spot, and stop waiting for somebody who doesn't even know if he wants to play in the NBA. Let's put this in perspective. Simmons told everyone weeks ago that he'd make a decision in 1 week. That was 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. And what do we have now? Nothing. Actually, worse than nothing. We have reports that he might not play at all. Stephen A. looked straight at the camera on First Take and said, "You cannot make this up." Because you really can't. The Knicks waited, fans waited, the league waited, and instead of choosing a team, Simmons might choose to leave the entire NBA. And Stephen A. put it perfectly. This is the kind of storyline that only happens with Ben Simmons. Only him. A player with that much hype, that much talent. And instead of stepping up, he's questioning if he even wants to be in the league. Imagine that. Now, Stephen A. reminded us of something else. The Knicks don't need to beg anybody. Did they have to beg Gerson Yabusele? Did they have to beg Jordan Clarkson? No. Those guys wanted to be here. They embraced the challenge. They embraced the Garden. And that's why those signings matter so much more. They represent what it means to be a Knick. And that's where Stephen A. drew the line. He said flat out, this report about Simmons is actually saving the Knicks from themselves. It's forcing them to move on, to go after players who actually want to be here. Whether that's Brogdon or Shamet, it doesn't matter. The important thing is this: it will not be Ben Simmons. And according to Stephen A., that's a blessing in disguise. So let me turn this back to you, Knicks fan. What do you think about Stephen A. Smith's take? He said Simmons walking away from the NBA confirms everything we already knew, that he's not built for New York. Do you agree? Do you want the Knicks to pivot to Brogdon, or do you want Shamet? Because one thing is crystal clear. Stephen A. Smith made it known. The Knicks need to focus on guys who actually want to wear the jersey, guys who want to carry that weight, not guys who want to run from it.